know why I feel this way. Every day I wanna run away. I think I'll go back to that place I stay. Play on the server the TimeShot way.
Hello people, it's Poet, and we're back on TimeShot. Just gathering up some stone. I put down all of these furnaces so that I could really cook it up fast. Basically use up all the charcoal or whatever I had. It's not really for levels. Stone gives you, I think, the worst level to smelting ratio. But that's not the point. I just needed a whole bunch of those resources there. And now we got them. Let's see how I'm doing. I should have cooked up... I got more stone in here. Whoops. I should have cooked up some more... what's it called? Charcoal. But I didn't for some reason. But that's okay. I'll cook that up right now. Let's see. We got... Where's the logs? There's some... I'll take that many. I'll take a couple of these. I don't know how many I'm going to need here. Let me just do the math here. I got 5 of these. So I need 5 of those, I think. Really. We go like that. Which is too much for each one. Let's do it like this instead. It's too little for each one. We don't have enough. Yes, yes, no, yes, no. What? Of course we have enough. We have too much. That's the way it goes. Okay, so I have 5 stacks. Each stack requires 8 coal, which is kind of a waste, considering I really desperately need these blocks of coal to finish off my wall and stuff. But at the same time, if I can get 5 stacks of charcoal so that I don't need to use coal anymore, I'd say that that's a pretty good payoff. So I can always go into a cave and do some caving and usually come out with a bit more coal. The other thing that's happened recently is the fact that I basically went caving to get diamonds. I came up with a few. Got weather turned off so you can't hear the lightning. It's very, very eerie. But I got a few. I got 39 what is it? Unbroken up ore. I don't remember though how many Huck and I came up with. I think we only had 3. If I'm not mistaken. It was a smallish number, like 3. And he said whatever we come up with after we get fortune is kind of what we'll use together. We'll split together. I tried to get a fortune 3 pick so many times. I got all of these picks that you see right here, the unused ones especially, but all of these minus this one I had before, this Silk Touch, half broken. But all of these I have now. But this one, actually, Fabe gave to me. I traded him. I had some of his, what's it called? Chainmail armor. And I also gave him 5 diamonds, 5 actual diamonds. And in return, he gave me a Fortune 3, Unbreaking 3, Efficiency 4 pick. Now, that's pretty good. Since then, like, otherwise I got like efficiency 4. Imagine 30 levels on a pick and you get efficiency 4. It's just so upsetting. Unbreaking 3, for example. Unbreaking 3, efficiency 3. Like, those are all level 30 enchants, and I was getting pretty discouraged. To the point where I was about to say to someone, like, I will... If you want me to, like, just dig out an entire huge room of cobblestone or something, like manual labor, I will do that if you give me that Fortune 3. If you have a Fortune 3, please, please, even just to use it. But he was very kind. He actually let me have it. So what I'm going to do is actually take care of that right now with my Fortune 3 pick. Yeah. Fortune 3. I'm gonna actually, can I name it? See how much that would cost to name something. Hopefully not that much. Yes, it would. Boy. 35 levels to name it. I like naming the picks so that when I scroll over them on my inventory, I can see that it's not just diamond pickaxe. It would say Fortune 3, so that I know not to use it, for example, when I'm using it, like mining up. Whoops! Wow, that broke fairly easily. Crap. While I'm mining up stone like that. But here, I'll just take this, go back and put that back. So let's take care of the 3 first. I think, like I said, I think that that's what Huck and I had agreed on. Otherwise, I can always just, I'll give him some more diamonds after if I find out that it was more than 3. It might have been 6, it might have been 9, it might have been who knows how much. I really don't remember. I'm thinking 3. So out of that we get 1, 4, 5, 6, how many? 7. So split in 2, I'll give him the bigger half is 4. 4 diamonds for Huck. Which, if it was 3 blocks that we came up with, 3 blocks of ore, that's not too bad for a return for one guy. So now I'll do the rest of these diamonds. And these, of course, are almost entirely going to go towards the donor room. When people donate a certain amount, they will get the diamond blocks, which are hard to come by. That's very, very much why I needed the Fortune 3. So let's see what we come up with here. I think I had like 30-something diamonds. I think 39 all total. I was just looking at it no more than a second ago, but I've already forgotten how many I had. But the Fortune 3, if you want to see it working, like really, really, really working, look at how much I've ended up with. Was a stack and 12 from, let's say, upwards of about 40. That's pretty good. That's very good. That's more than 1 per. And if I take these, and let's combine them all together, that'll be 2, and then this will be another 7. So that turns out to be, oops, I just combined it with, he had 4. So I have 10 plus 1. That works out. I'm actually going to take those with me. And how's this coming along? Good. Good, 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 good. We have 2 more donations to put into the room. And that leads me to, oh, did I mention Fabe is streaming right now? He's streaming, but I'm not going to disturb him. He wanted people to go into the call, but I'm more in a mood to record this kind of thing. Sometimes you're in the mood to be live, and other times you're, oops, oh, I changed, this is big, I changed this. So that's actually kind of good that I showed you guys that you can't go down there. But yeah, sometimes you're in the mood to be a live streamer, and sometimes you're in the mood to be a YouTuber. And right now I want to be a YouTuber, not a live streamer. So I am not going to join his call, at least not immediately, unless I feel like it a little bit later. But for now, we're just going to work on here. The walls are coming along fairly nicely. They are still about only 3/4 done. Once they get to about that point, all the way along, then I have to work on putting a top on top of them, like little, I don't know what the name would be, louvers maybe, little tiny artistic flair to the tops of them, so that it's not just flat. And then I'm actually gonna extend the walls out probably by about 3 or 4 blocks inwards, so that you can actually walk along them. And that will be another huge ordeal to do. But that is, of course, all in due time. All in due time. Let's see. We dug out this room. I told you guys that I wanted to do this, except that I wanted to put a little building around it. Oh, sheep broke a block. Or ate a block. I want to put a little, at least a roof over top of this, or some kind of a building, entranceway, what have you. I'm probably going to take dirt and actually kind of extend this out quite a bit. So all of this land that's dipped down here will more than likely be covered up to probably about there. I'll just kind of... This whole little valley, if you can call it that, will be completely covered up. Kind of like this one was. But this was a huge valley down, as you can see, which we covered up. But I'm going to do the same over here. So lots and lots of terraforming to do, just so that I can put a building over here. So I dug it down, found a lot of little caves on the way. That's where I got most of my coal recently. And with this Fortune 3 pick, I'll be able to get loads more. Like, before I was just getting it with normal pick, so, you know, that was difficult to do. But here we go. I did this little thing. I told you guys, this is another thing I told you, that I wanted to do kind of like a little monument room for the different blocks, the different colored blocks. And this is kind of the base design that I came up with. I love doing things like this, is the unexplained from afar. Like when you're far away, you wonder, well, okay, those are two stone bricks together. Well, how did he get another stone brick there in the middle of the blocks? That doesn't make any sense, and I'm confused. Please tell me how you did it. And it's stairs. Now, that's one design I could come up with, was that pillar, with kind of like the support at the top, and then it goes into this, and then I picked this kind of a middle ground. What I could also do, I also thought about, because I got stairs here, is to go more like this. Like that. And then it creates the effect of an actual stone brick in the middle, on top of, and in the middle of other stone bricks. So that, to me, looks really, really, really neat. And so it's really kind of a matter of picking. You know, do you guys like this one better? Or do you guys like this double column better? I think that this one kind of adds a little bit of flair to it, but this definitely has a better optical illusion to it. Like, people have to walk up and say, like, oh, those are stairs. Like, it doesn't come at first glance that it's stairs, I guess. So I kind of like that idea. I do like this idea too. I might change it if I see comments saying, no, change it back, it's better. But for now, I think I would much prefer, just even upon seeing it just now, that kind of looks, for the optical illusion of it, it looks pretty cool. So what I'm going to do is move all of these out. Actually, let's take care of the donations first. Get that out of the way, at least. Okay, 2 of those we need. Oh, I don't need that, because I got this. Where's my signs? I don't have any signs in there. Okay. Whoops, that's a trapdoor. I pulled a Jake right there. That's not good. Okay, there we go. Sticks first. Then, like these, gives you 3 signs. Perfect. Trapdoors. What am I going to do with trapdoors? Okay, so there's no more room in there. Oh! For Tomers, I had to change it from gold. I chose to a redstone block because, for a couple reasons. Number one is that it does stick out as being unique more. And I also got to thinking, like, what if, for some unknown reason right now, I don't know what reason would be, but what if he had donated more? What if he donates more in the future? What if someone who is a gold donor does something that should require a special block? I surely can't give them gold again. So I chose to make it unique, and that is red. And it reminded me that actually I have to change this one. And I think that this is someone that actually, I think it's Daniel M. is what it should be, and it was $52. Thank you very much. Was using a different account with a different name on it, which is why I came up with the other name. And again, it's probably something that they told me a long time ago, but I always say put it on the PayPal notes. You can actually, when you're donating on PayPal, there's a note section. And actually on Amazon, for the Amazon one way over there, there is a notes section as well too. So put your username or whatever name you want on there. Like I know that this one, that I did an educated guess, that was correct. This one I had to change to Coco the Derp, the D3RP. And that one guy, I think, was another one that I had to change. So again, just put your usernames that you want in the notes on PayPal. Even if you give me a message directly after you donate, sometimes I completely forget that I had those messages. So, my bad. Let's see, that's the Amazon room, so we're going to be putting, for the first time in here, it's not even furnished yet, I haven't had a chance, but we're going to just put some makeshift monuments for now. What am I going to do for now? Because I'm going to have to take these down, ultimately, but let's just put it like that and like that for now. We're going to get this done. 2 of those, and the first one is from, let me just check my thing here, Kami M. Wait, I usually write it down one more. Kami M. And this was $10.21. I'm curious as to the 21 cents. Thank you for those 21 cents more. And this one is K Ryota, which I imagine is a Japanese style name. I could be wrong. Correct me if I am. But from the last name, or the family name, I should say, it sounded like the K should be first. So there's K Ryota, $2. Thank you very much, both of you. I promise that this room will look a little bit better for your wonderful donations very shortly. I just have to kind of crank on some tunes and get to work down here. Now, what I wanted to talk about today, because we're done putting those guys up and we're done basically showing you what's new. I didn't show you that yet, and that's kind of what I'm going to be working on today, is just kind of mocking up this much. It's just the bare base minimum amount right now. It's just the bottom half. I have to basically take this design and come up with a design that goes all the way up. So what I'm going to be doing is what I figured would be easiest, to keep the design the same, because it's actually kind of difficult when you do a design, even just simple like this, with the little stairs and the window and the stone behind it and the, things like that. Doing it over here, repeating it, was actually kind of difficult to me. And I still haven't finished. I haven't done inside of here yet. But it took a lot of, place one block and then look over there, and then place another block and then look over there, and kind of just figure it out. Well, it would work a lot easier for a huge, complicated design upwards if I did little sections at a time. So what I choose to do is finish this bottom quarter, I guess it is, bottom sixth. It's about a sixth of the wall. And then do another, and another, and another, and another, and another, and kind of just work it that way. And see how that goes. So what I've decided to do, I think I started that right at the edge of that wall there. So I'll have to do 1, maybe 2, if they can fit beside each other. I think they could. I think I spaced it out right. Right? I hope. Otherwise I'd have to take this all down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's 5 width, no more than that. And we've got, let me count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9? Uh-oh. That could be a problem. Let me count one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Uh-oh. This is a problem. How am I going to squeeze two of these together. It's kind of what I have to figure out. But I guess it'll happen when it happens, and that'll be the design that we carry over everywhere else. That one will be unique then, in that case. 9 blocks difference. Didn't think about that. So I'm just going to go in here for a second and grab up some of these bits of coal. Again, using the fortune pick, so it'll get us quite a bit. I used quite a bit to cook up the stuff that we were, the charcoal. I can never remember the name. Charcoal. But this will more than make up for it, I think. Fortune pick. Usually does. And then I can actually go up there as well. But I need more blocks. I need to fill in and do stuff like that. So what do I need for blocks down there? I see some cobblestone. I see some stone brick slab. Or, no, not. Yeah, stone brick. And some normal stone slabs. And then I was going to put where you see the dirt blocks, I was going to put some maybe hardened clay colors, or I could put some blocks of redstone because I got loads of that. I was going to put some glowstone, which I don't see in this chest at all. Alright. So I'm going to have to go get a few supplies. What I could also do, of course, like I do everywhere, is put that glass where you see the dirt. Oops. Let me just go and grab that glowstone anyway, because that's the big part of the wall, is that I don't want any torches on the walls. The torches, a lot of people say this comment, that the torches kind of take away from the natural look of things. And, oop, GG. Takes away from the natural look of things. And it would be very nice if we could have some more ambient lighting in and around places. So that's what I'm going to try to do, is put a lot of ambient lighting on the walls. The walls themselves don't really need light, except for the exposed blocks that things might spawn on. But I'm going to try to limit that as much as possible too. It all makes sense in my head. Where is my glowstone? There is my glowstone. And for the center blocks, do I want one of these colors? I could take orange wool, might look interesting. I might try that. I could try that glass again. I'm going to just grab that and try it. I had fooled around with something with the magenta stain clay and ended up not liking it. These two colors are completely different. I don't know why. And of course, red wool. Now I could do that too. Oh, but I should also show you guys something more that I worked on. I've been working on everything on here like crazy. But haven't recorded. I haven't had something to talk about. I do have something to talk about today. So to jump right into the topic, it kind of was sparked by a tweet that I saw. But before I get into the tweet, you'll notice that I finished the little pathway to my house. So in the next world download, it'll actually kind of tie in with things. It looks really nice. In a lot of the places, even my little pathway at the house there that goes up to the house, I did exactly like MK and Sigils did at their house. And in between the steps is all gravel. Nothing but gravel. No mixed-matched blocks in between. It's all gravel in between the runs. And then when you get to a wall like this, actually I must have ran out, so that's a bad example. But when you get to a little wall like this, you go up with some cobblestone, which looks a lot better. It looks very much more natural. But I ran out, so I'll have to finish that. I also put up this little tiny street sign to go to Poet or MK and Sigils in the hospital. This is the hospital over there that several of the people on here were working on. You can just barely see it over the hill. Alright. One more thing that I gotta show you. While I walk there, I'll talk about what I was going to talk about, which, like I said, was sparked by a tweet that I saw. And the tweet was from someone who's fairly well known. He has like 75,000 followers on Twitter. I don't know who he is. Nor did I look into it, unfortunately. But it was retweeted by a friend who, you know, you just learn. You just learn about what people are doing and what they're they're up to by retweets and favorites and things like that, replies. So anyway, this guy, he tweeted out a picture of Mario in Mario Kart riding a Mercedes-Benz. Now, have you guys seen this yet? This is kind of big news. A lot of people are hailing it as the end of video games. You know, video games lived from 1984 to 2014, then they died. This is, Liam is actually remaking a house here. This is the house from, I think, iJedi, who often shows up to live streams to hang out. He was on I think a Pixelmon server or something, and this is the design that he had for a house, or at least that's what I think, because I think I saw Liam asking if he could borrow the design, and it from the front I think looked very much like that. So there's Liam's spawn house, very nice. And what I did is I added on a banner onto mine. Now everybody on the world download got this banner because this was kind of something that I finished the night of the world download, and so of course couldn't get an episode out before that happened. So now I have this giant banner with the letter P on it for poet, which doesn't really look like the letter P, kind of, from far away, but if I were to pillar up, or if I were to stand on top of Liam's dome there, the Pyridome, it would look much more like a P, and it looks pretty cool. I like the texture of it. Maybe not the most natural thing in the world, but it still looks pretty cool. So I also finished the stairway going up. Stairway is just about done. I might add something in the middle to kind of make it a little bit more safe, because I have fallen a few times. And then upstairs, up at the very top, there is nothing done up there. It's just kind of plain. Nothing done. I'm going to have to do some real work up there just to beautify it. The tower itself doesn't really have a purpose. It's just all for fun, because that's what Minecraft's about, is just building things for fun, not necessarily for a purpose. And I have to admit, I did see the world download. Someone put a top-down hit. Skypig Bob. Murdered by Liam. Code had a Skypig Bob. If you watch Code's videos, he accused this pig, or a pig like it, I should say, of being Skybridge Bob. Are you Skybridge Bob? That's what he said in the Code voice. And Liam killed him. I don't know how that happened, but Liam killed him, so I replaced the pig. I went and I got a pig, found a pig, led it all the way back, put it in there for Code. Good old Code. Alright, time to get back to the topic, because I barely talked about it. And while we're doing that, we're gonna work. We're gonna work away downstairs in my donor room. Maybe get the basics of that wall done. Figure that out. And while I'm doing that, I'll talk about this. The Mercedes-Benz inside of a Nintendo game. The Mario Kart, Mario driving a Mercedes, and it's a DLC as far as I know. And people are shocked by this, and here's why I'm not. And that's kind of, I mean, even me just saying that might be a little bit shocking, because of course the first reaction you expect from every single gamer who's ever lived ever, and has played a Mario game, and has loved a Mario game, such as myself, I think 90% of them out there will be devastated. The retweets and the comments regarding the tweets and stuff that I saw following, they were pretty upset, needless to say. People weren't happy that Mario is now driving a Mercedes rather than a generic Nintendo branded car. But I'm not surprised by it. And the reason I'm not surprised by it is because Nintendo is a corporation. And it's basically as simple as that. It sounds funny, but it's kind of true. People have this romantic view of video games. I mean, especially when we were kids. Especially when we were kids. We romanticized video games. Video games were our life. You know, they were our livelihoods. They were what we enjoyed all the time. We took great pleasure in playing video games, and we grew up with them. You know, it's nostalgic. It's important to us. And beyond that, I mean, video games are awesome. It's as simple as that, really. But we've romanticized them. We have. Basically, well, no, I'm doing that wrong. Oh, there we go. 0 to 49. And then this one's from 50 to, what was it, 99? This one's from 100 to 199. And then this one's 200 plus. There we go. So that's basically what I wanted to do, was just a little monument like that. Nothing fancy. Maybe I'll put up a little pedestal, raise them up a little bit. But for now, that's more than fine. I can finish this off now. Video games being romantic is a nice thought. People want to remember their childhood as completely clean, untarnished, unchanged. You know, I don't want to think of my childhood as completely corporate and completely sold to me. But, you know, one doesn't have to look much further than the old Super Soaker commercials to realize, you know, when we were kids, we were sold things quite blatantly, and quite often we just accepted it, you know, because that's all we had. The thing to keep in mind is that Nintendo is not an independent company. It is a for-profit organization. They care about corporate sponsorship because that's how they can afford the extravagances that they currently have. I mean, you almost can't blame them. As being a corporation, you're incorporated. You've got huge expenditures. But at the same time, nobody can deny that Nintendo makes pretty good coin off of what they do. Pirating of games impacted companies like Nintendo not very much, because the console market was in a quite a large way unfazed by it. I mean, you can go back to the whole Game Shark days, Game Genie days, when we used to have pirated games on the Nintendo and stuff. It never impacted them, and it still doesn't, you know. People will always have stuff for free. People will always do things which get around your corporate model. But they're not losing so much money that they really need to rely upon things like corporate sponsorships. So why then would they do that? Why would Nintendo go to Mercedes? Or actually, it's probably the other way around, if I'm to be perfectly honest. It would be Mercedes saying, hey, what about if we finance some of your game, or finance a project, or I don't know what the terms would be. How could you make Nintendo salivate and say, oh, I went all the way there to get cobblestone, I don't have any. Boo! Boo! None in here either. Haha! But how could you entice Nintendo, a company like Nintendo, which has it all? They have all the money in the world. They have all the children of the world under their fingertips. All the parents of those children who used to play their games pretty well in hand. What would you do to entice them? So I can only imagine that Mercedes paid quite a bit to have this sponsorship included into a Nintendo game. Probably a value that would rival some entire corporate takeovers of the past, which is kind of sickening to think, you know, there are people out there who are starving, who have nothing, and a corporation out there just spent so many advertising dollars that really, what can you do? It's almost embarrassing to think of the number, because if you think of the number and you think of the number of people out there who need the money and cannot get it or will not get it, it's pretty upsetting. But you know what? It's their company. They can do with it what they want, I suppose. I'm not really going to complain about it. Oh, that's not what I wanted. That is what I wanted to avoid right there. Sword? Yes. But corporations tend to scratch the back of corporations. They tend to get along very well. There we go. They're often in similar clubs. And I mean, I know this from even just the local corporations, or the corporation I used to work for. The corporation I used to work for was fairly large, and what they would do, even locally, this is not even on a national level, but they surely did it on a national level too. But locally, what they did was schmooze. They schmoozed with other corporations. They were in the same dinner clubs. They were in the same, fortune meetings and we feel important contests. Everything that rich people do. I don't like this redstone. Putting it here. Just looking at it. I don't care for it. I do not care for it. Maybe something a little bit more mundane, actually. Believe it or not. I'm going to try with a piece of just a piece of stone. Doesn't look too bad. There we go. But people are in shock, basically, about this whole Nintendo is now dealing with Mercedes, and why would they do that? They were ruining my childhood, and so on and so forth. And honestly, the thing is, your childhood was ruined a long time ago. It's kind of funny for me to say that, but there's a lot worse that have been done with video games in the past several years. I mean, especially when it comes to, I've had this rant before about games having too many DLCs, having the Candy Crush model where you need to buy power-ups and things like that in mobile. That's looking pretty good. I like the way that looks. But I need cobblestone, so I gotta run all the way back for cobble. But Candy Crush is one example. You've got DLCs from games like Watch Dogs, and at least I think it was Watch Dogs. There was a game that came out very recently, like extremely recently, and I remember looking at this game, and within, on the day the game was released, or something like that, there was a DLC released for it. And to me, in the past, DLCs were always kind of like the natural step up from an expansion pack. Back in the old days of video games, we had expansion packs. So you had your Age of Empires, and then you had your expansion pack, Age of Empires, The Rise of Rome, or actually I don't know if that was the expansion pack or the full one. It doesn't matter. You'd have StarCraft, and then you had the expansion pack Brood War. You go back to the early 90s with Wolfenstein 3D, you had the expansion pack Spear of Destiny. They had little expansion packs, like another game that you could buy, and this game that you would buy would be like a fully new game. And the point of it was that after everybody has gotten tired and played through the first game, you buy the expansion, and then with the expansion you can continue to enjoy your game. The last one I can remember doing this was Spore, I think, had an expansion pack, which didn't really add very much, but they had a few little expansion packs that they released, made their money twice. Well, a DLC, in my mind, has always kind of been that natural progression of an expansion pack. So it's something to enjoy after the game is done. And they released it almost immediately after, or at the same time as the other game, the new game, being released. And I was kind of shocked by that, in that what happened is it doesn't give people a chance to even enjoy what they just got. They're already having to think about, what do I buy next? And that, to me, is kind of a little bit on the greedy end. You can't really defeat things like that. Things like that will always be around, but it's getting more and more common these days, and things like that kill the way video games were, more so than how they are today. I mean, it sounds kind of funny, and it sounds kind of old, and it's the whole, I used to travel 20 miles in a snowstorm uphill for 2 hours to get to school type of talk. But honestly, some of that still rings true, in that I used to pay almost nothing to get a Nintendo game, and I would enjoy it for hours upon hours upon hours upon hours, and never once was I asked to buy something additional. Never once was I asked to buy a special power-up or a special plug-in to get past the level I'm on. Never once was I hounded by advertisements in the middle of a game. Things like that have become much more frequent. And that's all part and parcel with the fact that, video games as a whole, video games in general, are very much corporate. They're corporate modeled. Even Minecraft. I'm pulling out no... I'm not... What's the saying? I don't know. Why am I even... I'm stuttering now because it's so hot in here. I can't think straight. I'm trying to talk to you guys. But I'll pull no punches. Minecraft is even guilty of being a little bit corporate-minded in the way that they are. Not in that they charge people for DLCs or for content or for things like that, but in the way that they charge quite a lot for a game that is supposedly indie, and then they have their convention, which they can claim all they want is all part of, them being exciting for the fans, but let's get real here. You're making money off of that too. People did the math, I think, when Minecon came around last year. There were a few people out there, maybe only the people who didn't get tickets because they were bitter, but there were a few people out there who definitely went and did the math and crunched the numbers and found out, like, just how much is Mojang making off of us for this event. And it was pretty staggering amount, I have to admit. Pretty staggering. There we go. This is looking pretty good. And then a step on top of that, and it's done, I think. Yeah. Oh. Forgot those inside pieces. Just like that. Looking good. And what did I say? A step in front of that? No, another pillar and then a step. I got this. Don't you worry. And where's the step? Here's the step. So, video games for a very, very long time have not been as romantic as we had made them. Keep in mind that if we go back far enough, it's always been this way. This isn't something new. This isn't even a new complaint. In the 70s, video games died. Console games died. Which is kind of funny considering just how significant video games are these days. But video games died. They died. Nobody, not even kids out there who love video games, who grew up with them, not even them, not even they wanted to support them. So, what happened is video games didn't have a corporate model. They didn't have that corporate appeal. Video games were just not money makers. unfortunately. And these games not being moneymakers, these consoles losing money was not an option for most companies out there who wanted something nice to invest in, something worthwhile to invest in that would give them a good return. So it's all about the corporations again. The corporations were the ones, again, who decided that, you know what, video games are not worth it. Let's not support them. Let's not back them. Let's not look at them anymore. And it was almost impossible until Nintendo came around. Atari tried very, very, very desperately to come around and be success, but just couldn't. Nintendo saved the world for video games. They really did. So it's actually kind of humorous these days that people are now, you know, harping at Nintendo for being sellouts, for having a corporate model that involves corporate sponsorship. But you got to keep in mind that, you know, they've always been a corporation. They will always have only their corporation's needs in mind. They don't have the viewer. They don't have the player. They don't have those people in mind. They never will. It's kind of cliche to say that someone's just a dollar sign, that they're only a number, that you're only statistic. But that's true. But you are. You really are. You, the person who loves Mario, who loves everything about Mario, who grew up with Mario, who considers Mario you're the long-lost Mario brother, in fact, is how much you love him. You, that person who loves it that much, are nothing more than someone who comes up in a sales meeting as one of their sales figures when you bought that new game. And that, in a way, is very disappointing. That, in a way, is kind of unfortunate. But again, you know, it's a corporation. They're in it for the money. They're not in it to give you that indie game feel, experience, what have you. They're just not. I mean, why would they be? You know, there's no benefit to them to just make a game for the love of making games. So then why do even indie games exist these days? There's lots of reasons. And one of the biggest reasons definitely is because people can get their games out there. People would otherwise never get their game out there if they didn't go the indie route. And also, and this is a very big reason, very, very common reason, is that people genuinely love video games. And they love making video games. And they love supporting video games. You just have to look at a single Kickstarter project, or the green light on Steam, or, you know, anything like that for funding of a video game. The supporting of indie games like Minecraft when it was new. You know, those kinds of things speak volumes. Really, they do. That's looking so cool. And that's going to go upwards and be cool and designed and just amazing. But video games for the whole, especially with companies like Nintendo, they don't care. They don't care. Why would you think they care? People have romanticized it. I'll say it one more time. People want to believe that the Mario games out there, because they have lovable characters, because they grew up with them, that they are immune to the corporate monster, the green-eyed monster. It really is. Greed. That they are without greed, those companies. But it kind of puts it into perspective. And I think that rather than be surprised by this, it's kind of one of those things where I look at it and I say, oh yeah, that makes sense, you know. It kind of puts it into perspective. When you're looking at a difference between an indie game and a corporate game, a produced game like Mario, or any of those franchise games out there. Pick one. Really honestly pick one. There are games out there, a lot of the racing games, for example, that have Mercedes in them, and they could be published by Nintendo in themselves as well. Nobody complains because they almost expect it from those kinds of games. They want to see the real cars in them and stuff. But from Mario is our childhood. Mario is this... You can't touch Mario because he's special. He's our brother, you know? And I gotta just try to tell people now, like, you know, this isn't shocking to me. This doesn't surprise me, and it shouldn't surprise you either. Because, you know, it's the way that the world is. Everything's corporate these days. People are sold things, and people buy into being sold things. The entire console market, if I'm to get started on that, consoles in general are useless. PC games are the most free version, and I don't mean literally free. I mean, if you want a free experience in a video game, free to expand the game in new ways and things of that nature, the experience really comes from PC games. I can go out there tomorrow and upgrade my PC, and in upgrading my PC, I'll be able to have more games. More games that work, more games that are supported, and so on. Whereas... Oops, did I do that wrong? Yeah, I did. Whereas a console, you're very, very, very limited in what you can have on a console. You have to buy the peripherals, you know, the controllers and the things like that. You have to buy them. You can't play without them. On a PC, you just use whatever the PC comes with, a mouse and a keyboard. Some people prefer to use other things, but it's not required, not at all. I mean, you can play any game with just a keyboard and mouse. The other thing is the fact that you can upgrade, whereas on a console, no matter what you invest into a console right now, you might as well have invested in VHS. Hope that VHS collection, those cassette tape collections you have, hope they're worth the millions they are now. The truth be told, you probably will never make back what you put into a collection like that. Whereas on a PC, PCs are always ever evolving, and someone can buy a PC a long time ago, and it still decently plays the games of today, especially the indie games. Because indie games, again, don't care about the corporate model of, you know, well, we're currently in a sponsorship with NVIDIA, so what we're going to do is make it so that everybody has to update to the latest NVIDIA drivers to play our game. And if they can't do that, well, then they just won't be able to play the game. They'll have to buy a brand new graphics card. I mean, that's stupid. That's ridiculous. And that's one of the most corporate things that PC game companies can do. Sometimes it's out of necessity because they really genuinely want the best graphics. But I find as a whole, indie games generally don't care about the graphics. They just care about, you know... and I mean like high-res graphics more than anything. They care about the gameplay, the experience you have, the fun that you have. Are you having fun playing my game? Good. Then enjoy. You know, that's it. They don't want you to buy the best graphics card or really care that you do. It's all kind of part of it, I guess. So consoles, though, are kind of the worst case scenario of everything you can think of when it comes to consoles. I mean, I used to be a console junkie back in the day because everybody was, and we didn't have PCs. I mean, that's something else to think about. In the 90s and stuff, when we had a Nintendo, we didn't have a computer. We didn't have a computer that you could just play a game on. And computers were so ultra expensive that it was just impossible. Like, my first computer that my parents bought for the family, I think cost over $3,900, just over that. It was a decent computer by that day's standards. It's a complete piece of garbage. Couldn't even run Windows these days. So, I mean, it was not very feasible to have a PC game, to have PC games and things like that. So I always collected and enjoyed console games. My family didn't really get console games until a lot later than they were out. I think I've repeated this before too, is that I don't think I had the Nintendo, original Nintendo, until the Super Nintendo was already out. However, I still enjoyed playing things like Nintendo and that. And it was a much more lighthearted experience back then. They didn't really need to work hard on their market because PC games didn't exist, because the competitors really weren't there, especially for Nintendo in the early days. Atari was dying. Nintendo didn't have to worry. When Sega came around, then everybody had to worry, and then there was this big battle between consoles. And I bought every single console that came out as soon as I could afford it. I bought the PlayStation 2, N64, GameCube. I bought even the Wii. I bought. That's the last console I ever bought and will ever buy. And the honest reason why I bought that console is because of my nephew. My nephew, who at the time I think was only maybe 5 years old, or a little younger than that even. And I bought it for him because when he came over, I wanted him to be able to, play something and have fun playing something without him touching my computer, my precious, precious computer. Because I just didn't want him to be on the computer. So I bought that console for him, and that's the last console that I'll ever buy. And I think that people who currently buy consoles have absolutely no concept of why they're even playing video games. It's kind of harsh to say that, but why would you invest in money in, number one, very expensive games? There are no real indie games for a console. Not as a whole. If a game is on a console and it's saying that it's an indie game, it's been produced and published by an official game company, and that's just not true. The same goes for Minecraft being on Xbox and things like that. It's just not true that it's no longer an indie game. It can start as an indie game all it wants. But the second that you publish through someone, you're not independent anymore. The definition's gone. So I mean, that's one point. Number two is, of course, buying all the extras, the memory cards. I remember having to buy things like that. Different disc cleaners you ended up having to buy. I remember back in the old days, the Nintendo cartridge cleaner kits that you would buy, because the cartridges would always get dirty and never work. And then when PlayStation was around, they had disc cleaners. You get the different controllers, and then my brother wants a controller, my sister wants a controller, so I got to get them the controller. But I didn't get the one with the Rumble Pack. Well, I need to get the Rumble Pack because this game really uses Rumble Pack to a very good way, and well, this one needs a special controller for special type of direct movement for my Wii. The tennis game needs a special thing, and little things like that. You gotta keep buying and buying and buying and buying the little extras. And then the console itself. You buy a console today, 1 or 2 years later, it's done. It's done. Time to move on. Time to go to the next console up. Why? The big reason why from all of those companies out there, every single one of them, Sony, Xbox, and even Nintendo, the graphics are so much better in this PlayStation 800. Why would you use the PlayStation 799? Because that just doesn't make sense. The graphics are better in the new one. And the honest truth is that when you get a game console like the Wii, which kind of is the exception, because like I said, corporate Nintendo, they are a corporation, they only care about the money, but they also got it right in that people care about the gameplay more than the graphics. And if graphics are really all you care about, then you're misguided in your play style. It's just not... I heard you were a bit unlucky with your enchants, wanted a Fortune 3 pickaxe. So here you go, from Edson. You gotta be kidding me. Well, I already... I have one. I'm so super appreciative, but at the same time, I'm thinking like, okay, I'll keep it. I definitely will keep it. That goes without saying. I am corporate Poetendo. I am greedy. But no, I will pay him back rather than just take it as a gift, because I already have one. And it makes sense to not just take and take and take and take and take. So thank you for Edson, and thanks for Fabe for the original one. I will pay Edson the same price that I paid Fabe, which was, I think, 5 diamonds is what I will give him. And I will get to that. His house is like a bazillion miles that way. I have to go actually to the desert. Uh-oh. Purple tree has a creeper. Oh, no! Don't want. Do not want. I have to go to the desert to actually get to Edson's house because he's that far away from looking at the little mini-map that I saw. Let's see. Excavation desert. I made this portal for you guys. I died doing it. It's one of my 8 deaths. I think death number 6 or 7 was right here somewhere. I was mining this entire wall out, and then all of a sudden lava everywhere. And I ran as fast as I could, but to no avail. I saved my stuff, but all of my levels and all of my life was gone. But have I talked about the whole gaming thing these days? The games that matter the most are the games that make us think. The games that make us really enjoy the characters. Why do people love Mario? Why do people associate him with their childhood and with growing up and with being pure and being nice and good and all these kinds of things? It's because when we played that game, corporation wasn't shoved down our throats. A fun time, good gameplay was all that mattered. The graphics were so minor. The guy who invented the game also drew the graphics, which was very reminiscent of how all graphics happened back then. Is that when... Which direction is it? I think it's this direction. When... I need an ender chest. Crap! Do I have to really run all the way back, or do I have an ender pearl and blaze powder and stuff? What do I need? Oh! I have to go all the way back to get the diamonds, so I'll end it now. But back in the old days of video games, in the 70s, 80s, 90s, the programmers, the people who were developing the game, actually drew the graphics. They didn't have a graphics department. They couldn't afford that, and even if they could, they didn't want one because it was good enough. They wanted people to have this little pixelated character run along and hit his head on question mark blocks. They didn't care about the graphics and how good the graphics were and how everything must be super amazing, awesome corporation. And now you got Mercedes in games, and now you've got consoles that only care about the best graphics. And kids and adults alike all buy into it. Why? Because they are sold it, and they are sold it very well. They are sold commercials. Commercials are crazy. Commercials work. They go to the E3s of the world, and the PAXs of the world, and the Gen Con, and any other game convention, and things like that. And they're sold it. They get to play on it. They're given the stickers and the stamps and the different little contest ballots and things like that to play more and buy more. And something is lost. Games have been dead for a very, very long time. It's not just a new thing. Not with just this whole Mercedes being in a Mario game. It's just more screamingly obvious, I think, is the way to look at it. When you needed to see the black and white definition of what the difference between an indie game and a corporate game are, look at the Mercedes-Benz that Mario is driving with his Nike branded shoes or something like that, and then you know. So, with that said, maybe I'll leave you with this, just kind of as a little shout out to anybody out there who may be developing an indie game. Check out, especially the Humble Bundles often have the indie games, but be leery, because even Humble Bundle can be a little sketchy sometimes with what they support. When it comes to Humble Bundle, I feel so greedy. Not greedy. Greedy's not the right word. I feel so guilty. Not greedy. I feel guilty. Because what I do is, on Humble Bundle, you can choose whether to give the money to the developers, to Humble Bundle, or to a charity. And I always, for a fact, give $1. I give $1 to Humble Bundle, and I give the rest of the money, every single cent of it, I give it back to charity. So that's something else to think about too, is, you know, even on indie sites, you gotta be kind of leery about the DLCs and the extras and the things of that nature. Indie games with corporate thinking is the next step in killing video games, and that's something of an entirely different topic. I could go on for probably another hour, but I'll spare you guys. Thank you for watching. Like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, and do all those other awesome things you people do, including donating in the donator room. I had a comment the other day asking, kind of just to explain it one more time, why the donation thing is going on, because they felt kind of weird about it. And I kind of just said, you know, doing YouTube videos full-time is a lot different than a lot of people out there who do it as kind of a hobby. My internet bill to support YouTube is over $380 every single month alone. But on the completely non-selfish side of things, I am also raising money for charity. 50% of the things that you donate to me will go to charity at the end of the month. A lot of YouTubers and Twitch people out there do it and only claim it as a charity. I know that for a fact. A lot of Twitch people out there will put up streams, donation streams, and they'll collect with a charity in mind, and then they'll keep 50% for themselves. I'm being upfront with you guys. I'm not going to just take the 50% without telling you and be dishonest like that. I'm going to be giving 50% to charity, and will keep 50% for myself, just to support food, shelter, and the basic necessities. Everything else comes out of my pocket. Like, I won't take your donation and go and spend it on, you know, a trip to Vegas or something. You know, something completely extravagant. I won't go and buy, put it as a down payment on my new car, or something like that. It'll be for buying food tomorrow. And what else? That's basically it, I think. You will get a little tiny thing in the donation room for donating. The end of the video is here. Thanks once again. We'll be seeing ya on TimeShot. Bye-bye.